Yo people, it's your boy Gilly here and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be ranking the top 10 Christopher Nolan movies. Now that the Odyssey's out, the hype is dying down a little bit. People are finally starting to get their own opinions in. And yeah, let's rank Christopher Nolan. Starting off at number 10, I have Memento. Memento is a fantastic movie, don't get me wrong. And I absolutely love all the movies on this list. I don't think I have anything lower than a 4 stars, but Memento I think is the least rewatchable movie, just purely because a lot of it is centered around the end and the sort of plot twist. Like on first watch, it's absolutely fantastic, you know, the whole way through, and the ending only makes that better. My only thing is on a rewatch, you don't really appreciate what it's building up to as much as you do on the first one, and I guess that in no way that doesn't take like any value away from the movie. It's just I would prefer watching something that's a little bit more rewatchable, something that holds its value again on a rewatch, and I just don't think Memento really provides that for me. So that is at number 10. At number 9, I have Tenet. I think Tenet is massively misunderstood. People love to hate on it. People love to say that, you know, you don't understand anything that's going on. And in a way, I guess that is kind of true. Not that you don't understand anything that's going on, but it's very hard to follow. That doesn't take away from the filmmaking, the acting. John David Washington and Robin Pattinson are absolutely fantastic in this movie. I guess the only reason why I couldn't put it higher is because, yeah, it is slightly hard to follow. But again, the visuals are just so cool. It's, for me, such a fun watch. At number 8, I have a movie that probably could be put a lot lower, like maybe even outside the top 10. But on a rewatch, I actually really enjoyed it more than I thought I would. At number 8, I have Dark Knight Rises. Now, Dark Knight Rises is one of those movies that I think gets overshadowed purely because it's in a franchise where, you know, there is a movie that substantially holds a lot more weight than it. But it is incredible. I think Tom Hardy as Bane, even though it's not a comic accurate Bane, it's still such a fantastic character. Christian Bale is good as Batman again. Not the best Batman we've gotten, still a very good Batman. Anne Hathaway's Catwoman I think is really good. Again, I do think Dark Knight Rises does or should get a little bit more praise. I see people say it's the worst aged Nolan movie. I don't think I really agree with that. And yeah, I actually quite like Dark Knight Rises. At number 7, I have Dunkirk. Dunkirk was, I believe, the only Nolan movie that I hadn't watched up until I decided I was going to make this video. And I have it at 7. A lot of that is attributed to the filmmaking and the sets and the cinematography. It is such a mesmerizing watch, you know, these scenes of just purely in the water, the flying scenes, the bombs, everything is so strikingly beautiful. And I think that is one thing that should get talked about more when it comes to Dunkirk. I think a lot of people don't really rate it that highly. I absolutely love it. Again, I do think it's filmmaking at a very high standard. The content of the movie isn't probably the best, which is why I don't have it higher, but again, on a visual level, it is fantastic. At number 6, I have The Prestige. The Prestige is an absolutely amazing watch. A lot of it, again, is attributed to the plot twist at the end, but like Memento, I do think The Prestige's plot twist elevates the movie more. And there's one reason, like when I was comparing Memento to a movie in Nolan's filmography, I obviously had to compare it to The Prestige purely because, again, their movie is centered around the ending and what happens at the end. But The Prestige, I think, is much better for me in the way that on a rewatch, you notice so many little more details. Now that you know kind of what the twist is, you can start to fill in these little gaps that make so much more sense now that you kind of know what's going on. And in Memento, I don't really get that same feeling. The Prestige is so good, and if Nolan wasn't as good as he was, I could see The Prestige being a lot higher. I just wish I could put it higher. At number 5, I have Inception, one that people love to put around the top 3 range. I have it at 5. It is, again, another strikingly beautiful movie. Performances from Leonardo DiCaprio is just so good. I think Cillian Murphy in this as well is absolutely fantastic. You know, it's a movie that is quite complicated, but it's not as hard as following, for example, Tenet. I think this is one where the writing really shows itself and really stands out in a cast that is absolutely star-studded. It's fantastic. Again, Tom Hardy is amazing. I just love Tom Hardy in all of these Nolan projects. I think he is such a great actor. And yeah, Inception is another movie I wish I could put higher, but there is just So many bangers on this list that unfortunately it falls down to 5th. At number 4, I have Dark Knight. This used to be my 1 or my 2, but again, I think on a rewatch, I really start to realize the value that Heath Ledger brings to this as the Joker, and I do think the Joker kind of does carry this. I don't feel much, I would say, from Two-Face. Again, I think Christian Bale is insane. Two-Face's character strikes me, but it doesn't really hit me as much as I wanted it to. I think that is purely because he is kind of just getting mogged by Heath Ledger. Again, it is an absolutely fantastic movie, arguably the best superhero movie of all time. Well, in my case, I think the most recent Batman is higher. It is really a fantastic movie, just one that I think has aged a tiny bit worse for me. At number 3, I have Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is just a fantastic display of filmmaking. Directorially, it is one of the most well-made movies of all time. The writing is incredible. The script is witty and smart. Cinematography is out of this world. Cillian Murphy as Oppenheimer is just fantastic. Emily Blunt is so good in this. Even Florence Pugh, Robert Downey Jr., the cast is fantastic and they all play their parts so well. My only thing with Oppenheimer is that the content in the movie, or the source material, from a filmmaking perspective, this has all the necessary ingredients to be the number 1 for Nolan, or even number 2. Just in terms of content, for example, a movie based around physics just wouldn't strike me as much as the next 2 movies would. Again, that is not a dig at anything this movie stands for. The source material isn't my sort of particular gist, and that's why I have it down at number 3. At number 2, I have Interstellar. Interstellar was one of my earliest memories of feeling like movies are just the best. When I watched Interstellar, I remember it was quite a few years ago and I wasn't really into movies back then. I watched Interstellar, I was like, this is just incredible. Matthew McConaughey is so good. So is Anne Hathaway. Like, yeah, I just remember, maybe some of this is attributed to nostalgia, but Interstellar really is just that movie for me. One that I can always revisit and never lose any of its value. I absolutely love Interstellar. Such a core memory for me. But unfortunately, I just couldn't put it number 1. Now, at number 1, this is going to be surprising to some people. Some people hate it. Some people like it, but wouldn't put it as high as their top 3. And you could call this recency bias. We'll see in a few months to maybe a couple years. But at number 1, I have The Odyssey. Again, I just think it's like an Oppenheimer for me. In a filmmaking perspective and directorially, I think this is one of the most well-made movies of all time. But in the case of Oppenheimer, where I wasn't the biggest, or I wasn't really interested in the source material, this is different. This is one of the best stories of all time, adapted by one of the greatest filmmakers of our time. This has, again, like Oppenheimer, all the necessary ingredients to be that movie. And I just think The Odyssey is that movie. So many great performances. The cinematography is fantastic. The score by Ludwig Göransson is honestly to die for. It is such a fantastic cinema experience. And I just honestly am astounded by everything about this movie. It is a masterpiece. It is a 5 stars. I just think it is absolutely incredible. And I already want to watch it again. I've already watched it twice in cinemas. I already want to watch it for a 3rd time. And yeah, that is my number 1 in ranking Christopher Nolan's filmography. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We've got a lot more content soon come. Go follow the socials, the TikTok, the Instagram, the Letterboxd. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.